Hello everyone, thanks for joining in. In today's video, I'll be going over some different locks that I recommend for people to start picking with, and what they're good at, and just kind of go through that. I won't be picking anything in this video. I'll put some links to the videos for all the different ones that I recommend in this, so it's easy to see if you want to see me picking them or anything like that. I'd also recommend checking out my beginner playlist because there's a lot of really good information in there about getting started with lock picking. So the first lock that I talk about is generally what a lot of people will start with. This is the master lock number 3. This lock is a really easy lock to pick. It has a lot of space in there. You can also rake this lock fairly easily. And so yes, this is a really fun lock to get started with because it's really easy to get open in a lot of different ways because of how loose the tolerances are. So I really would recommend starting with something like this. And I'll put, like I said, a link above for that. The next lock I really like is a nice cutaway. This is from Sparrows. I really do like this lock because you can kind of see what's going on as you're picking this. You can buy different loader kits so you can test serrated pins, spool pins, standard pins, and really work your way up through the different pins to see what that feedback feels like for each individual type of pin. So it's really good at that, but it is going to be a different feedback than you get from a good lock. On that, I really would not recommend the clear locks because while you can see what's going on, the feedback is really pretty horrible compared to a real lock. So if you want to cut away, something like this is a really good one. It's easy to hold and see what's going on. It also has nice square edges, so you can put it into a little tabletop vise and pick like that. So I really recommend adding some cutaway lock to your portfolio to really teach you kind of the steps as you go along. The next lock I really enjoy picking is this Brinks lock. This is a 164. Um, I just got this lock, but I would say this is probably one of the better cheap locks that's entry level because it does give some fun feedback. It's not tensioned. So what that means is the core as you pick it isn't resisting you. So it has these ball bearings in here. Let's see if I can show that. So it's a fairly high, it's a decent lock, I'll say, because you can't just bypass it with the shim or any of the McNeely style, kind of hitting it with a hammer or with another lock. So it is a reasonable lock. It's cheap, and it is a fun lock to pick. There's a nice keyway in there. Oh, I guess I should mention I'll also put a link, an affiliate link to Amazon for these locks that you can get from Amazon, and that just helps me out. I get a little small portion if you click on that link. But anyway, this Brinks lock I'd say is a fun entry level lock. Moving on, I'd say if you want some cheap locks, you can usually buy used deadbolts, and most of them are pretty non-secure. You can buy these from locksmiths. You can buy on eBay. I just buy a used one, kind of get the feel for it, because most of them have no security pins and really shows you the vulnerability that most locks have. So I would recommend that. I would not recommend maybe like a smart key or a quick set because those are a little bit more difficult to pick. So starting out, probably wouldn't start with that. But any of the generic cheap kind of deadbolts you can buy on Amazon or on eBay for a few bucks. You can probably go to a local locksmith and they probably have a bucket of old ones. So I'd recommend getting a lock or two to practice. And then moving on, I'd say kind of the American 1100 is the next lock that's readily available. This one is kind of going to be a little bit more difficult to pick. This is going to be um, I think it's a green belt level lock, but it has some serrated pins in there. And this is where it starts to get a little bit more difficult to pick. It also has spring tension. So you can see if I twist the key, it tries to, it fights its way back. So you have to overcome that spring tension while you are picking this lock. But it is a good lock to get under your belt because of those serrated pins. This is really where the locks start to get a little bit more difficult. And then another lock I think is pretty underrated are the Master Lock Lotto locks. This is the 410. So this lock can be a little finicky if you turn it too far. You can't do it with a key because the key stops on this little ledge. But if you, let me pull the key out so you can see that ledge. But this little plastic ledge, come on. If you turn the core too much, it'll basically break the lock. So you have to be careful with this lock. But this lock has a lot of spool pins, so you can get that counter rotation feel. It also doesn't have a spring-loaded core, so you can see as I turn the key, it just stays where it is. I tend to like these to practice with because you can really feel a lot more what's going on in the lock, and you're not having to overcome any kind of spring tension with them. But anyway, so I'd say for spool locks and trying to practice that, this is a really good cheap lock, readily available on Amazon and other places. So this is kind of my my recommendations on different locks for entry level, kind of as you're learning to pick and get a little bit more advanced into picking. These are some good ones to consider purchasing. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If not, hope to see y'all next time. Have a great day.